So this is an awesome sofa. I think you can even, I think you need a driver's license for that. Okay, now we're ready for the quick talk about sofa, which is a new project. It's hosted by the MacAdmins open source. And as a context, I begin with a short backstory about a problem I was asked to help at the end of last year. So when working with the CIS benchmark for macOS, you may find a selection like this one. Ensure Xprotect is running and updated. But what is the latest update and where is the reference? So knowing the latest update sounds simple, but it isn't always easy to solve. And this can be frustrating. And when sharing a custom approach to solve this specific Xprotect problem for a customer, the idea of building a project on top of that emerged. So asking some MacAdmin friends confirmed this, and there's a need for both machines and humans to access such information more easily. So we initiated, so far, a machine-readable feed for macOS and iOS update info, including CVEs and some more interesting data points. And the idea here is easy. It should be simple. A JSON file with the latest info that is shared in a static way to be accessible to everyone, including tools and scripts. And also enabling organizations to manage this source of truth under their own control. So let my dear friend and co-presenter, Alistair Banks, share a few words for us here. And I hope the audio quality is good.
Thank you for the time, Henry, and MDOYVR. I love you, and I'm sorry to be missing you. Sofa in about 300 words. As the saying goes, all problems are communication problems, and the reason why CIS benchmarks exist is to at least have a framework to initiate conversations around security. Centralization is IT at its most efficient, and patching is table stakes to prevent low-hanging fruit or exploitation of your fruit. Since Gatekeeper applies updates in the background, like those to the cert store and Xprotect Remediator's YAR rule changes, which are pushed out regularly by Apple without announcement, you'd want to know what the current version of that and other metadata is according to where Apple OS platforms check in server-wise. After achieving getting gosh darned mother father parsed, gdmf.apple.com/v2, blah, 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 Sofa can take the data that it already fetched and provide other goodies, like that historical list of when Apple considers a patch released, so you know when the maximum 90-day countdown for delays would expire. And we also added niceties like the latest Mac OS IPSW restore image and Universal Mac Assistant installer package to place the app on computers or be used with an erase and install automated workflow. In a regulated environment, you'd also want to validate where clients connect to and what you're using as your source of truth. So having this be easily inspectable and hostable, as Henry will get into some of the implementation details, also helps inspire confidence. You'd also want to be able to match that canonical source with CVE/exploitability data, maybe even removing the need for paid, brain-dead, resource-hungry phone scanners, which you could instead replace with optimized, daemonized OS query. As I've mentioned in the beginning, surfacing this data feeds discussions with security about how to prioritize which releases patch vulnerabilities that are hot like hot fire, and hopefully helps inspire users to update based on that data you're providing. And back to Henry.
Cool. Thanks, Alistair. So a very, very quick overview, as we have to make up some time. As mentioned, Sofa is a static hosted data that consists of this machine-readable feed and a user-friendly web interface, providing continuously up-to-date information on Xprotect, latest OS updates, and security details on those OS releases. And the JSON data from the current feed file is used to fill in the static HTML page. Just recently, we've added an RSS feed feature as well, so that's interesting. I wanted to present the UI a bit more in depth, but we have to make up some time. So where you see the arrow, this is where you find the link to the feed file. And then on the number 2, that's where the section where the latest OS info, along with the download file for the IPSV and the installer package and some documentation that is from Apple matching to the OS version that you select. This is all there in this section. And then there's the, on number 3, there's the section where the XProtect info is displayed. And then we have this section under number 4, which is the Mac security updates overview, where there's some links to the CVE information that you can click, and it hops over to the NIST NVD database or the CVE.org. And yeah, so this is all displayed for us humans, but it's a file that, it's a feed file that is machine readable. So the OS query extension is a great use case. Thanks to Graham Gilbert for adding this so quickly at the beginning of this project. And you can use the feed info in scripts like the GEMF extension attributes or other scripts and other tools, which is already used a lot out there. And now you can use an RSS subscription to get notified when updates become available in the feed, like XProtect, which happens quite often. So how is this working under the hood? There's a very brief diagram how the feed is aggregated. So the data is mainly sourced from Apple, like the software update, GDMF, and the HT 2012-22. And a GitHub runner is periodically extracting the information from those sources and building a JSON feed file here. And then all of that is cached and presented via Cloudflare. An important note here, we provide an E tag, which helps to be more efficient on the client side, because you could check, has anything changed in the feed file, and you don't have to pull all the data every time the script or the tool is running. Because, that's important, that's the traffic we hit right now. So yeah, it's interesting to see the different the different agents and the traffic in Cloudflare, and the different tools. And yeah, I think I keep it simple here because the fellow speakers Greg and Bart said it all. Share the feedback, criticism, and encouragement with us. This is a short list of collaborators I want to mention who greatly helped launching so far. And there's some tools that run out there already. The scripts for the GEMF extension attributes. Nudge is having an integration in an upcoming version, which is now in a beta. OS query extension, and there are several more out there. There's one more thing. This quick talk wouldn't be complete without mentioning another new project, which is not from me. It's a service to be launched by Nindy Jill, the creator of Mist and the Mist CLI tool. He's in the room. And it's called Phoenix, and it's essentially the Mac Tracker app as a REST API, as I understand. And while SOFA aims to be simple and is self-hostable static file that is aiming for N-2 OS info and everything I presented, Phoenix does offer a much more in-depth API here to query the current but also historical data, I think dating back to macOS 10.0 even. So there's some overlap in both tools, of course, but having choice is a great benefit in our community. And so check out Nindy's work. And that's all. You can find SOFA under this URL and on the Mac Admin's open source GitHub repo. And there's some links to related blogs and resources under this QR code. And thank you for listening once more.